Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. If you need an orthopedist, go to Brock. You need a roof, you call Parish. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Oakcock Brothers, premium cigars. Use the code MAT15, MAT15, MAT15 for 15% off your order. For some reason, StreamYard is not letting me go into my saved settings for Morning Scone with the background and all that stuff. So I have the scroll, but nothing else. Anyway, weird. All right. Good morning, y'all. Newsy day yesterday on Monday. LSU lands Peyton Houston, the four-star quarterback out of Evangel. Really nice get. A guy who initially was thought to be a USC lean, and then everyone thought he was going to pick Oklahoma. He was in Baton Rouge for the LSU-Florida game, so LSU got the last visit, and then on Monday, he picked the Tigers. So LSU gets a quarterback for 2027 in Peyton Houston, and he's the number 8 quarterback in the country, so he's a top 10 player. I know everybody has looked at Elijah Haven and wondering what does this mean for Elijah Haven. I'm telling you, you're thinking about it the wrong way. It's a bird in hand. You got a top 10 quarterback in the country wants to commit you take that commitment. So long way to go between now and December 2026 when these guys will sign for the 2027 class. But after missing a quarterback in 25, so far missing a quarterback in 26, you don't take no chances. So you got a bird in hand, you take it. That's great news. You beat out Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Texas, every big school for them. That's great. Then went to Brian Kelly's press conference. Kelly reluctantly mentioned the torso situation with Nussmeier. And I know how what in the world? I don't like this at all. Sorry. I'm trying to get settings. I'm trying to show y'all video. And anyway, whatever. StreamYard is not cooperating today. It makes me very unhappy. Anyway, I know
I'll be honest, and I wasn't going to get I'll be honest, and I wasn't going to get into this, but with you guys, I will. He's been slowed a little bit with a torso injury, and he's fighting through it, and he's getting better. And he's not going to be able to really shut it down until we get to the bye week. And I'm not saying that has had any of his troubles. I think he is a symptom of what I just answered from Wilson in that, we're not ripping it, on fourth down. We're taking some plays away from him as well. And he's done a really good job. I think he managed the run game as well as he has all year. We got to let him get the ball out to the playmakers. That would be more of what has to happen. And then we've got to keep him healthy. That's the most important thing. I'll be honest, and I wasn't going to get in.
So we've talked here for a month about the oblique. Dating back to that Saturday before Clemson right? And everyone I asked about that told me it's nothing, nothing, nothing. And I asked Brian Kelly after the press conference, and I know how fans are going to react to this. I said on AFR, if you listen to Locked On today, you'll hear it as well. Fans are going to go, ha, that's the problem. That's why the offense sucks. Smoking gun, Nussmeier, oblique, or torso. And I just don't believe that's what's slowing this offense at all. Brian Kelly in that press conference on Monday said half dozen times that this is how they're going to play to win games. They're going to play defense, field position, special teams. There's going to be a time when they need to score and they can rip it and open it up when they need to, but in the meantime, they don't need to do that. They're not going to. I'll put it to you this way. The SEC mandates you release an injury report. And so I didn't want to ask, I'll be very honest with you, I did not want to ask this question publicly in the press conference because I didn't want a gotcha moment in the press conference. So I went and asked Brian Kelly after. I was like, why? So if Nuss has been injured, why hasn't he been on the injury report? And he said, you don't need to put someone on the injury report unless they miss or are limited in practice. And he has not missed or been limited in practice. So I'm going, okay, well, if he hasn't missed practice or been limited in practice and they're not altering the game plan at all as a result of this, what really is this? It's exactly what everyone said. It's really nothing. I mean, in a literal sense, it's something in the same way that the knee injury was something. And everybody melted over that and tried to say he had a torn ACL and all that, whatever. But he had tendonitis in the knee, which is he's got a little knee discomfort. Okay. Like at this point, if you go through a month of fall camp and now 3 games, everybody's got something. You know, West Weeks now is a calf. Whit Weeks was still overcoming foot surgery. Harold Perkins coming off an ACL. Trades Green now has a knee. Braylon Moore's got a sprained ankle. Weston Davis or Tyree Adams have both gone out of games with injuries and come right back. I know the reaction. I know what the reaction is going to be to it. I just genuinely don't believe that this is anything. But it was the same reaction with the knee thing. And everyone's like, see, it was something. I mean, something in the sense that, if you got a hangnail, it's something. But is it really anything? What I think is pretty clear is those 2 practices that we got to watch where he wasn't throwing. That's why. And Brian Kelly told us load management. They have more pitch count. Well, that's why. Is they were just letting him rest his oblique. Okay. You do that in fall camp, fine. I'm okay with that. I think the more interesting thing that he said, I think the most interesting thing that y'all are going to hate for sure is this.
Really pleased with our protection. I think it's a strength. Going into this was about managing the game. Stop making sense. I had to answer questions of being critical with Blake.
This was when, for all of you who hate Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly was asked about Joe Sloan yesterday.
I had to answer questions of being critical with Blake last year, right? I mean, he is doing what he's asked to do to manage the games the way we need to. But we have a top 10 defense, I believe, in the country. And we need to play to that strength. And so sometimes you have to pull back a little bit here and there. He's being a great coach from that perspective. Because, look, offensive coordinator, they want to score points too. But sometimes I'm tapping the brakes here a little bit in those situations because that's going to be the identity of this football team. I had to answer questions of
Brian Kelly says, I had to tap the brakes because that's going to be the identity of this football team. Y'all ain't got to like that. But it goes back to the point that I've made for everybody that just you immediately default to criticize the offensive coordinator. And I'm not defending Joe Sloan. I'm not telling you Joe Sloan is the greatest offensive savant in the history of mankind. I'm not saying that. I mean, but the thing that I say, not just about Sloan, but about any offensive coordinator or defense, is you and I don't know the play call. You and I don't know the game plan, the objective, the play call, what they're trying to do. And all that matters. And so Kelly's sitting here telling you they want to open it up, and I'm telling them, pull back. Okay. He wants to go score points. He wants to throw it a bunch. He wants to move the ball. We're going to win games differently. You don't have to like it, but he's giving you the answer. Can't wait to read the comments on this. All right, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Bailey, go back, look when BK was hired. I think he's the only person to lose weight after moving here. I asked him in his first, so he got here in spring, and then in his first fall camp, he had lost a bunch of weight. And I asked him how much he lost, and he said like 30 pounds. And for the most part, he's kept it off during his time here. Jeremy, more than that, decided to get tickets for Vandy. Will you be going? I wasn't able to run you in Vegas last year. I actually am going to Vandy. That's going to be our travel game this year. So I'll be doing my show. For anybody who's going to be in Nashville, I'll be doing my show the Friday before the Vandy game at Friends in Low Places, the Garth Brooks Bar. And I think we're going to have a party after that as well. Tiger Poppy, good morning. Abner Neal, good morning. Patrick, good morning. Matt and Drew, question. Who has 2 thumbs and a fully functional mute button for his live streams? Appreciate it. Where are my earbuds today? Stat Belmonte was good. Bubba, Jalen, good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Brian, good morning. Donovan, good morning. How you doing? I think LSU will be all right. Fix a little bit on the offense. I think we could be legit. I really hope that you'll go, we're done here. You'll go listen to or watch Locked On from today. Because I think there were 3 things pretty clearly that Kelly talked about yesterday. One, they're going to win different this year. And he talked about many different examples of how. Number 2, his acknowledgement that the offensive line needs to improve, which of course it does. And 3 was what you just heard, was sort of the defense of Joe Sloan. Hey, Thomas, good morning. Brad, good morning. Do you think the UCLA job is good anymore? I don't remember them being good. I remember them being good. Bob Toledo was there now. This is 1998, so it's been a minute. But they had Cade McNown, who was in that infamous 1999 draft class with Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, Achilles Smith, Cade McNown. I feel like I'm missing one in there, but they were good back then. Their successes outside of that few and far between in their recent history. Is the UCLA job a good one if they invest in it? But that was just a disaster of a hire. From the moment, the red flag for everybody was the Big Ten Media Day, where Deshaun Foster went up there, winged it, was completely unprepared, making the joke about, we're in Los Angeles. Like, if you're not prepared for Big Ten Media Days, how are you going to be prepared for a game? I mean, it's just attention to detail in everything you do. Weston, Jalen. It's a great point. People melt and then they completely forget about it. It is the human condition. My guy's on one today. Nuzzle be all right. He'll be good to go. Hang on, I gotta hair turned into a sound machine. I'm not muting my mic today.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish built. Parish built. Parish built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
He'd be all right. He'd be good to go. Oh, man. Let's see. I know I'm behind on comments. Let me get going here. I'll move quickly. Chris, do you think LSU tries to land a QB flip for Yes, Landon Duckworth is the guy they're going after. He's a South Carolina commit. Brad asked us yesterday. You were muted. Curious, do you think Vanderbilt could be one of the better teams in the SEC? You'd have to define, I think you said contender. And do I think they're a contender to win the SEC? No, I do not. I think it's interesting how they have built their roster. They very intentionally went and gotten older players. Like they've gone to JUCO and FCS and gotten 22, 3, 4-year-old players. So they do have an older, more mature roster. And obviously getting Diego Pavia back was good. I think more than anything, South Carolina is a fraud. Now, Lenore Sellers also got knocked out of that game. I don't think it would have mattered as far as the win-loss record. It might have looked a little differently the rest of the way. But I think Vanderbilt is a good team. I do not think they're a contender. I think South Carolina always was a fraud. Patrick Bennett, sucks to hear about Vernon Broughton's injury. Looks to be season ending. Can't escape the injury. Yeah, Vernon Broughton, rookie defensive tackle, draft pick, third-round pick of the Saints. Hip injury. Looks like he's done for the year. So one more about Vandy, because I played this for you yesterday when I was on mute. This was at SEC Media Days. We were asked the most disappointing team in the SEC. South Carolina. We were asked at SEC Media Days most disappointing team in the SEC. Crap. Carolina talented. South Carolina. I think Carolina talented team. Tough schedule. I think they go 7-5. South Carolina. I think. And by the way, Chris Marler, who puts wrong at the bottom. I'm the only one he puts wrong at the bottom. Old chump who does Locked on South Carolina. Stunning. Sent him that after they lost to Vanderbilt. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. South Carolina stinks. Yeah, no kidding. Rex Specs, get out of here. Brian will be hard to top yesterday's show. Starting to wonder about those who watch 30 minutes of dead air. The loyalty, man. Maybe I was just trolling all of you to see how many of you would stay. Hey, Bob. Almost every day. Appreciate it, Bob. What's going on, man? Eric, what I'm having trouble reconciling is we have a front office that went out and signed players whose skill set doesn't match the offense that we're running. Just seemed misaligned. I guess you're talking about the Saints. And who specifically? Rex, Matt, thoughts on Rattler? Is he the guy? I mean, he's the guy who's starting right now. Do I think he's the guy that will win championships in New Orleans? I do not. Could he be a good starting quarterback in the NFL? Sure. Chandler, morning, sir. Find a way to get the bye week, get Nuss right, get rolling. Winning ugly is better than losing pretty. Amen to that. Didn't we find that out in 2023? I think 2 years ago, Brian Kelly had his Les Miles 2008 moment when 2008 LSU scored a bunch of points, but they threw a bunch of interceptions and the defense wasn't very good. So we're never doing that again. And so they built their team on running the ball and defense and all that stuff. And they built a great team. I mean, built to what was the time the greatest team in LSU history in 2011. And I think Brian Kelly's at the point where he's like, he said it point blank. So we did this 2 years ago. We had a prolific offense and they lost 3 games. Gunnar, if you were a coach, would you have Burrow or Jaden Daniels? Well, I mean, just based on the seasons they played, I mean, Burrow had the greatest season in the history of college football. So that's hard to go against. If you're talking about in the pros now, Burrow has a larger sample size, but he's also been injury prone. So that's a difficult question. Like, are you asking whose college season would I prefer? Joe Burrow's in 2019. It was the greatest season ever. And Jaden was otherworldly, and he gave you the run dimension. And both had amazing receivers. I mean, so there's no, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, you're talking about elite level talent, no matter how you slice it. Hey, Ben, good morning. Jackson, better 2026 portal options, Holstein or Lagway for next year? Lagway, because he'll give you the ability to run. I know he doesn't run, but he gives you that ability if you need it. 6'3", 240, big guy who can do it. Silo, good morning. Let's see, after rewatching the film, LSU is a run-backing scheme issue or guys miss assignments. When it's one-on-one, they do fairly well. When it's combo block, then they get to the next level. Continued. So I don't disagree at all with the premise of what you're saying. And I think Brian Kelly discussed that. The other thing, I asked him, so here's a for instance. I know, please go listen to Locked On today. Here's a for instance. So I asked Brian Kelly, did last year's game against Florida affect your game plan this year? Meaning, because you gave up so many pressures and sacks last year and it wrecked the game, did that affect how you approached Florida this year? Meaning, you just weren't going to take as many chances. You weren't going to do the 5-7 step drops, all that sort of stuff. This is what now he didn't answer it specifically, but this will answer your question.
Game, they played 3 down 4% of the time. In this game, they played it 54% of the time. We have to be able to learn on the run and adapt. And we have some young guys that are playing for the first time that are learning and adapting as they go. Now, that's on coaching too. Like when I go in there and you tell me that 4% of the fronts are over Joel, which is their 3 down look, I'm like, okay, well then that should be reflected in how much they see it during the week, right? We saw it almost 54% of the time. And there were some things that we struggled with the 4 technique. The 4 technique is hard to cut.
Anyway, all that to say, so when they're game planning for Florida, before this week, Florida had run 3 down 4% of the time. Against LSU, they ran 3 down 54% of the time. Basically saying they showed us something we weren't prepared for. Now that's on coaching. And you've got to be able to make in-game adjustments. Well, how do you make in-game adjustments? It's much easier when you're familiar with the guy next to you and you've played a bunch. It's the hardest thing, man, when you're asking 5 to play as 1. That is only improved through reps. It's one of the reasons I didn't love all the shuffling in fall camp. Anyway, Ben, what did you think about Kelly's comments on the presser Saturday night? I talked plenty about that, Ben. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to move. I thought it was a very bad look for Brian Kelly. He apologized yesterday. It was the right thing to do. Move on. I have a full Locked On podcast episode talking about it if you're interested in getting my full comments on it. Hey, Johnny. Brad, I'd like to question about no fullback on the roster. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he said openly they might start using more I formation to run the football, which is great, but you need a fullback. And so they do not have there is no fullback listed on the roster. So Bauer Sharp lined up as the fullback. Bauer Sharp lined up in the fullback on the play that Durham ran the 51-yarder, and they actually had Pyburn as the H-back. That dude with the steam head of steam running downhill. Stat Dub, back-to-back shows with tech issues. You need to tighten up. We're gonna have Big C take over. No, I see. In fairness, the thing today with the background, that's a StreamYard issue. That's the software that I'm using, the streaming software that I'm using. Tiger Diver, morning Scone. You may have answered this yesterday. Due to no sound, I didn't hear the answer. Do you think a 10-2 Notre Dame gets in the playoff? Yeah. Maybe. I don't mean to cop out, but it's impossible to say without knowing who else is what at 8 or 9-3, 10-2, like how many teams are there. 10-2 Notre Dame, I would imagine, gets in. But they only have 1 game remaining against a ranked opponent. So they need to run the table. They probably will. been? How bad is the Nuss injury? Again, I think it's a non-thing. Again, he wasn't even listed on the injury report. Brian Kelly, I asked him yesterday, point blank, like, why wasn't he on the injury report? It only has to be on the injury report if he misses or is limited in practice. So he has not been limited in any way. So he's not even limited in practice. Brian Kelly said point blank, it's not affecting any of their play calls. I mean, you say, well, they're not taking deep shots. They took 7 deep shots against Tech. Why would you open it up against Tech and not Florida and Clemson? The Cobble effect made BK snap, then disclosed Nuss has an ab injury. I don't know that. So I don't know that they were told not to tell anyone. I think, as I think back on it and I go look at a lot of the texts, I think it was semantics. I think the people insisting it was nothing could argue to me that it was not impacting him. Like, it wasn't significant. It wasn't serious. There was nothing to it. I think they could argue that in semantics. And then maybe that's on me. But man, I asked a lot of people. For 3 weeks. And to be very honest, I was a little pissed off yesterday. Just being honest, I was a little pissed off yesterday. Anyway. Tony, Chance, Jay's been on fire lately. Man, 5 commits since Saturday. He got Brad Hopp's kid committed yesterday. And by the way, I'll tell you, I did talk to one of my a scout buddy. So right now, LSU has the top 6 players in Louisiana committed for the class of 2027. And they got Lawton Littleton yesterday out of Barb. And the comp that a scout gave me for Lawton Littleton, who's a left-handed pitcher, was Cade Anderson. I was like, I like that a lot. Like, any chance he gets to campus, said 50-50. Okay. Hey, Thomas, slightly injured Nuss, better than 99.9% around the. Again, man, like, yes, I agree with you. And everybody deals with something, man. Everybody. Jacob, Craig, Scott, Coach Olson got very little blame last year. Is getting very little credit now. I disagree with you, Scott, about the blame. I think he did get a lot of blame last year. I mean, I just don't think many people highlight the safeties coach. Normally, it's the defensive coordinator. And Brian Kelly in that soundbite is right. People did criticize Blake Baker last year. Don't do that so much anymore, do you? It's amazing what happens when you have talent on the field. Matt, sure you've been asked, why would they not rest him against Southeastern? Because he's not injured. Like, you're just think of it intuitively. You're answering your own question. Like, right. If he's hurt, why wouldn't you rest him? Because it's not a thing. Jalen, watch some tape on Peyton Houston. I see some potential passing. Oh, really? You see potential like in the game when he had 800 yards last year? It's pretty good. Matt, if Jaden had this team, does he have better outcome as the 2019 team? It's hard to say, man. I mean, 2019 was otherworldly. Joe, Matt, do you think LSU can go all the way, or is this O-line too much of a question mark? I think they are absolutely capable of beating anyone in the country, because I don't see anybody in the country that is just an absolute overwhelming juggernaut. And I think LSU's defense is going to cause problems for everybody they play. I do think if there's an Achilles heel, it's the thing that all of us, not just me, like all of us, right? You, me, everyone, that we have all talked about all offseason. Like, you're replacing 5 starting offensive linemen. It still is the single biggest question. But I agree with something Brian Kelly said yesterday, which is they have talent. Like, Weston Davis is a talented guy. He's just playing for the first time. Tyree Adams is a talented guy and he's getting better. You know, Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson are got like Josh Thompson is a very good offensive lineman. He struggles with smaller, quicker guys. Like I think back to fall camp, he struggled with Bernard Gooden, smaller, quicker guy. Josh Thompson struggled with Colby Fields from Louisiana Tech at linebacker when they were playing the 3-3 stack, smaller, quicker guy. I think that's just identifying strengths and weaknesses, right? Braylon Moore is awesome. And I was so impressed with Paul Mabenga against Florida. He was LSU's highest graded offensive lineman in the Florida game. What a dramatic improvement from a year ago, which goes to show you guys can improve. So, like, the next 2 weeks, keep getting better, man. That's the good news, is you took on, it's 7:18. I got to go. You took on some really, I'll say it again. I think the two best defensive fronts you're going to face all year, Clemson and Florida. I think you've already faced them. Okay, I got to go. It's 7:18. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. All of our sponsors are linked in the description on YouTube. I'll get everybody tagged on Facebook. They're always scrolling on the bottom. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out, y'all, I did like 2 bonus locked ons yesterday. I did my regular locked on, my PFF locked on yesterday. I did a standalone episode about Peyton Houston, the quarterback committing. Then I did a standalone episode about Nuss's injury. And then I have the episode from this morning with everything about Brian Kelly. So there's a ton of locked on content. Please go check it out, YouTube or podcast. I appreciate you. AFR.